Hey, Pastor Joseph here. You know, one of the greatest misunderstandings about the Christian walk is promotion. So many people are trying to be somebody and be promoted to a higher level of attention and notoriety. And can I tell you something? I've been there. I've often wondered why God didn't give me a larger church or a greater platform. And it wasn't until I realized some things that I gained some freedom. And now I don't care if God ever elevates me or gives me a greater position because I'm content because I know He's placed me where He wants me. You know, learning what I'm going to share today will set you free from despairing if you'll ever reach your destiny. And it set me free from disappointment. It set me free from worrying that I had missed my opportunity. And let's talk first about the scriptural truth. You see, the truth that God showed me that changed my life is this: promotion comes from God alone. Now I realize that saying promotion comes from God alone might sound trite at first, but let's look at it a little closely because it's not trite at all. And if you get this in your spirit today, I believe it's going to set you free just like it did me. In Psalm chapter 75, listen to what it says. For exaltation comes neither from the east, nor the west, nor from the south, but God is the judge. He puts down one and exalts another. You know, sometimes Christians fall into the trap of thinking that other people should be helping us towards our destiny. We think people should see our gifts and open doors for us. We think people should see the call of God on our lives as clearly as we do. And if they don't, we get disappointed. If we're not careful, though, that disappointment can turn into unforgiveness, and unforgiveness can turn into bitterness, and then our soul becomes poisoned. And then God can't move us forward in that state. It's a cycle. It's a very bad cycle. And once you get in that cycle, it's hard to get off of it. Saints, God has the keys to all the doors. He alone opens doors that no one can shut, and He shuts doors that no one can open. So not only does God know what's best for us, but He alone opens the doors that are best for us. God opens doors, not people, not your bank account, not your family connections, not your business network. Only God opens doors and shuts other doors. This goes along with other scripture verses about being promoted in the kingdom. Therefore, humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, that He may exalt you or lift you up in due time. That's 1 Peter 5:6. He says, humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and He will lift you up. That's James chapter 4 and verse 10. Those are powerful scriptures, and the Lord opened my eyes to a couple of things that have freed me up to serve Him. I want to share them with you. Number one, He never, and I mean never, elevates or promotes you so you can be seen and get the glory. His intention is to elevate is always for His glory. Simply put, it's all about Him and His work and His will and His worship and His glory. Why? Because He's God and He's worthy. And when the Lord opens our eyes to this truth, listen, I was once asked by a church to be their pastor. It was a small church, and when I mean small, if 10 people showed up on Sunday, it would have been a great Sunday. I filled in to preach for them a few times, and they wanted me to become their pastor. And I knew that was exactly what the Lord wanted me to do, but I didn't want to do it. I didn't say this out loud, but in my heart, I told God that I was better than this small church, and He could use me in a bigger place and put me in front of more people and have a bigger platform. Friends, was I arrogant or what? Well, to make a long story short, I declined to be their pastor, and my family and I moved to another city. We felt like the children of Israel wandering around in a desert for a few years, being out of the will of God. And it wasn't till I confessed my arrogance and submitted to God's will that He opened the doors of ministry to me again. He taught me that His will is perfect no matter how many the platform reaches. He taught me that He alone is responsible for my promotion. And He taught me that it wasn't so people could see me or how great of a preacher I was. It was and is to bring Him honor and glory. Listen, He can give you your next opportunity. He can move you into a new level of responsibility and influence. He can open doors for you again that no man can shut, and He can shut doors that no man can open. He doesn't need you to have a specific bank account balance. He doesn't need you to be related to the right people. He doesn't need you to have a degree behind your name. Your promotion is completely up to God. Of course, you have to obey His word and keep seeking Him, but as I've learned, He's not going to promote you if promotion has become your idol. And that brings me to the second thing I want to share. Listen, God will never give you notoriety until you're at peace with obscurity. To put it another way, God will not elevate you to be somebody until you pass the test of being nobody. That's good. Before God allows a person to be seen to bring him glory, he intimately and intentionally shapes them and places them where no one can find them. Anonymity is one of God's greatest gifts. Notoriety, which is just the act of being known for something, is one of God's greatest tests. And God will not give you notoriety until you pass the test of anonymity. The way God prepares you to steward notoriety is to break you while no one's watching. Because listen, when you're nobody, God doesn't break you. If he gives you notoriety, the enemy will use it to bury you. And if God doesn't hide us when we're not ready, you know what would happen if he promoted us? We would be exposed for who we really are. So he hides us and he breaks us in order to build us in such a way that we can steward more influence, not to bring us glory, to bring him glory. By the way, I also need to remind you of something that God hit me with recently, and it was humbling. All throughout Scripture, do you know who he chooses to elevate and use? It's the nobodies. It's the weak. It's the foolish. Read 1 Corinthians 1:27. The late Dr. Adrian Rogers tells a story about a woodpecker pecking on a tree, and in the middle of his pecking, a bolt of lightning hit the tree, splitting it right down the middle. The woodpecker backed off. He looked at the situation, and he flew away, and later that day he returned with 9 other woodpeckers. You know what he told them? He said, "There it is, gentlemen, right there. That's what I did." Listen, when we do that as men and women, God shuts off the lightning. When we try to take credit for what God's doing, God shuts off the lightning, and you're left with only what we can do in our own power, which is nothing. God will only promote those who realize their weakness and how incapable they are without him, and he wants to take us down to the very depths of ourselves to teach us that if there's any power, it's the power that's in God and not in us. God doesn't need to make us into performers or superstars to use us. Instead, he's looking for men and women who have hearts that say, "Lord, I'm a nobody. I'm nothing without you. Will you use me?" And when God finds that heart, something extraordinary happens. That nobody is promoted to the ranks of God's nobility. Man, I hope this helps you today. I hope this helps us understand to see how God promotes and who he promotes. It's all for his glory. I hope that helps you. God bless you today. If you need prayer, if you need someone to walk with you through a circumstance you're going through, I'd love for you to let me know down in the comments. I'd love to pray with you and for you about anything going on in your life, help minister to you in any way I can. Until next time, remember 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8 that says, "Be sober and be vigilant, for your adversary the devil walks around as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour." Until next time, God bless you.